Pull up a chair, because what unfolded across the last 48 hours is not a news cycle, it is a full-scale reordering of the pop and rap food chain, and every single one of the biggest names in the game just got dragged into the same burning building at the same time. I am talking about Nicki Minaj lighting a match nobody saw coming, Ariana Grande finally cracking the silence on the rumor mill that has been circling her tour like a vulture, Cardi B watching her brand new single get lapped on Spotify by a woman she personally tried to bury, and Bia turning the whole thing into a public shaming procession with nothing but a one-year-old track and a smirk. If you thought last week was chaos, you were not ready for the tape that is about to roll. Grab water. Grab a screenshot folder. Grab something to hold on to. Because the next 30 minutes are going to shake the way you see every last one of these women, and by the end of this you are going to understand exactly why the industry is quietly panicking behind closed doors and why every publicist in Manhattan is refreshing their inbox at 3 in the morning waiting for the next receipts to drop. Let me tell you something plainly and let me tell you something first. Nicki Minaj has just done what half of these labels spend 9-figure budgets trying to do, and she did it from a private jet, from a subscription page, from a single caption, and from the palm of her hand. Nicki Minaj did not need a rollout. Nicki Minaj did not need a magazine cover. Nicki Minaj did not need a coordinated blog blast. All Nicki Minaj had to do was breathe near the timeline and the entire internet lost its composure, and I want you to sit with that for one full second before we move any further. Because when we get into the receipts, and we are absolutely getting into the receipts, you are going to see that the numbers do not just favor Nicki Minaj, they crown her all over again. She's playing a longer board than everybody in this genre, and the ones still trying to figure out the opening move are the same ones about to get flipped for the third time this year. 15 years into her career, Nicki Minaj is still the highest value asset in the female rap ecosystem, and every metric that YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and X release each month tells you the same thing in a different accent. But before Nicki Minaj, we have to start where the emotional temperature is highest, and that is on Ariana Grande's stage, on Ariana Grande's tour, on Ariana Grande's microphone, in front of thousands of people who paid to see her perform and instead got a confession booth. Ariana Grande has been the eye of a storm nobody consented to for months. The talk about her weight, the talk about her health, the talk about her stopping filming, the talk about her canceling, the talk about the rollout of her Eternal Sunshine follow-up, the talk about the pedals visual, the talk about the vocal choices, the talk about everything except the woman herself. It has been relentless, it has been surgical, and by the sound of the crowd on that tour stop, it has finally caught up to Ariana Grande in a way none of us fully saw coming. It was not one blog. It was not one comment section. It was every corner of every platform stacked on top of each other for 11 straight weeks, and no woman, no matter how thick her skin, was ever going to walk through that untouched. Now here is where it gets loud. Ariana Grande stepped up to a microphone that she did not owe a single explanation to, and she chose to speak anyway. She told her crowd, and I want to paraphrase this with respect because the woman deserves it, that she loves her fans deeply, that sometimes when a story comes out and it did not come from her, the shape of that story twists into something unrecognizable, and that she wanted to speak to her audience directly rather than let the wider world project a version of her that is not hers to carry. Ariana Grande said the announcement made the day before was not impulsive, was not reactive, and was not a panic decision. Ariana Grande said it was something she had quietly planned for a long time, from a place she described as thoughtful and empowered. Ariana Grande said, in the plainest words she has used in public in years, that multiple things can be true at the same time. She said boundaries can need to be set. She said human beings can need a break. And she said this tour, this album, this creative moment, was and will continue to be the greatest experience of her professional and creative life. Read that again. Ariana Grande did not fold. Ariana Grande did not apologize. Ariana Grande did not confirm a single one of the more predatory rumors circulating about her health, and Ariana Grande did not deny them either. What Ariana Grande did was reframe the entire narrative on her terms, on her stage, in her voice, with the people who paid her invoice in the room. That is not damage control. That is somebody who has been through the machine enough times to know exactly how it grinds, and Ariana Grande has been ground before. Ariana Grande has been through the loss of a partner in a way none of us should ever have to imagine. Ariana Grande has been through the erasure of the Ethan Slater press cycle. Ariana Grande has been through the Wicked press tour that turned into a viewing gallery for her body. Ariana Grande has been through the Sweetener campaign, the thank you next fallout, the positions rollout that critics tried to bury, and the eternal sunshine cycle that the tabloids tried to weaponize. So when Ariana Grande walks up to a microphone and tells the room that noise will not distort her reality, the ones paying attention know exactly what she is saying. She is saying she has already survived worse. She is saying the internet is not her therapist. She is saying if you loved her, you would let her breathe. And the fans heard her. The fans heard Ariana Grande and they went online in droves posting reaction clips of themselves listening to that speech and, in their own words, feeling the pressure in their chest finally release. One caption read that it made her so relieved she cried. Another said she has never been more proud of Ariana Grande in her entire time being a fan. Another said the world does not deserve Ariana Grande but the fans will keep protecting her anyway. That is what mattered on that stage. Not the diagnosis game everyone online is playing. Not the amateur medical takes. The bond between an artist and the people who show up every drop. And if you have ever wondered what a healthy parasocial contract looks like in an era where most of them go toxic within a week, that Ariana Grande moment on tour was the masterclass. But shifting the frame just slightly, because we have to be honest here on this platform, there are still people who need to hear this and hear it clearly. Dragging Ariana Grande over her body will not save her. Dragging Ariana Grande over the vocal texture of a pedals track will not save her. Speculating about a diagnosis you are not qualified to give will not save her. If you are truly a fan of Ariana Grande, if you truly believe Ariana Grande deserves the same grace you would extend to a sister, then the only correct response to the last 2 weeks is silence, prayer, and letting the woman finish her tour on her own timeline. Do I personally think Ariana Grande should keep pushing through a global run when the online pressure is at this pitch? No. If it were me, I would have quietly folded the tour and disappeared into a studio in Malibu until Christmas. But it is not me. It is Ariana Grande. And Ariana Grande knows her body better than a comment section does. So let her be. That is what love looks like this week. That is what a real fanbase does when the storm gets too loud. You dim your voice. You raise your prayer. You wait for the sun. Now let me pivot into what I promised you at the top, because we are about to enter the eye of the storm, and the eye of the storm is Annika Tanya Marriage. Nicki Minaj. The Queen. The one whose name they cannot keep out of their mouth even when they are pretending to write about somebody else. A subscriber to Nicki Minaj's private page pulled up something new this week and, because the internet is what the internet is, immediately screenshotted it and dropped it onto the timeline. And what Nicki Minaj posted on that private tier, and I want you to hear me out because this is important, was a personal reflection. Nicki Minaj wrote about a promise she made herself as a little girl. Nicki Minaj wrote about a question she asked her mother once, when she was too young to understand what she was really asking. Nicki Minaj wrote about how becoming a mother herself has been the fulfillment of that quiet promise she made in her own bedroom decades ago. And then Nicki Minaj posted a picture. Not a magazine shot. Not a paparazzi grab. A private frame of herself, her son, and her husband on a private jet, mid-flight, mid-life, mid-joy. That is the picture that broke the internet this week. That is what set off the fire. Because the second that image left the private tier and crossed the public timeline, the entire ecosystem lost its mind. The obsession club that swears every hour of every day that they are done with Nicki Minaj found themselves refreshing the same feed for 6 hours straight. The paid blogs, and yes, I said paid, and yes, I meant paid, descended on the timeline with a coordinated angle. The angle, in case you missed it, was that Nicki Minaj is somehow charging her fans just to see her thoughts, and that this is proof that Nicki Minaj is broke, and that this is why Nicki Minaj is not currently topping the Billboard 200, and that this is why the Pink Friday era must therefore be over. Let me read those sentences back to you slowly, because I want you to hear how ridiculous they sound out loud. Nicki Minaj, the woman who has spent 15 years as the most mentioned female rapper on any platform you can name, is broke because she monetized her own private thoughts? That is the story. That is what we're running with in 2026. In the same year Beyoncé rolled out a country album via a subscription tier and got called a genius for it? Make it make sense. Let me put a real number on this so the coping committee can log off in peace. According to the running Twitter mention tally for 2026, Nicki Minaj is currently the second most mentioned person on the entire platform, sitting at 1.8 million mentions. The only person ahead of her is Taylor Swift, and the only reason Taylor Swift is ahead of her is the Travis Kelce engagement cycle, which added a 2-week bump nobody was going to be able to compete with. Take that engagement out of the equation and Nicki Minaj is number 1. Number 1 on the largest social platform in the world. Number 1 across every language, every region, every time zone. Number 1 with a subscription page that her critics say nobody wants to pay for. Do the math on that, then look me in the eye and tell me again that the woman is falling off. She is not falling off. She's playing a longer board than everybody, and every move you think is desperation is actually a trap you already walked into. The numbers do not lie. The mentions do not lie. The engagement graph does not lie. The only ones lying are the ones being paid to. Here is what Nicki Minaj did that they cannot admit out loud. Nicki Minaj created a scenario where if you want to drag her, you have to pay for the privilege of dragging her. If you want to screenshot a Nicki Minaj tweet at 3 in the morning to run it through the humiliation machine, you now have to hand her a subscription fee first. That is not desperation. That is the cleanest tollbooth ever built on the internet, and every hater who paid it just funded her next tour bus. When I tell you Nicki Minaj is playing at a level these blogs cannot even see, I mean it. This is chess with weighted pieces. And every time the coping committee thinks they landed a punch, they've just paid her rent. Every screenshot floating around the timeline this week is proof of concept for the smartest monetization play any female rapper has run this decade, and the ones jeering the loudest are the ones who just auto-paid her invoice. Which brings me to TMZ. I have to talk about TMZ. I do not want to talk about TMZ, but TMZ has forced my hand, because TMZ is no longer functioning as a news organization. TMZ has, at this point, quietly rebranded into what looks and behaves and posts and headlines exactly like a Nicki Minaj hate page. TMZ ran the subscription story on Twitter and got dragged so severely by Nicki Minaj fans that the piece essentially became a case study in how not to write a headline. What did TMZ do? TMZ took the same story, rewrote the caption, and re-uploaded the exact same shaming procession onto Facebook, hoping that the older demographic on Facebook would eat the framing whole. Except the barbs followed them there too, and the Facebook comments section became a mirror of the Twitter one. Nothing but drags. Nothing but receipts. Nothing but reminders that Nicki Minaj could sue every single blog running this angle if she chose to, and honestly, at this point, I hope she does. Because the audience is out of patience. The audience has been counting the coordinated headlines for years. And the audience is finally starting to name the operation for what it is. Let me ask you the question I have been asking on this channel for months. Is TMZ a news publication or is TMZ a Nicki Minaj hate operation with a press pass? Because I can no longer tell the difference. TMZ does not cover Taylor Swift with this level of venom. TMZ does not cover Beyoncé with this level of venom. TMZ does not cover Ariana Grande with this level of venom. TMZ reserves a very specific tone for one artist and one artist only, and if you have been watching the pattern for as long as I have, you already know exactly which artist that is. This is not journalism. This is a public shaming procession that never ends, and the second Nicki Minaj lawyers up, half the front page of that site is going to look like a courtroom docket. The lawsuits are going to write themselves, the discovery is going to be devastating, and the exposure is going to reshape how every legacy blog handles her name going forward. Let me be honest, I've been spiraling on Maine about TMZ for 2 weeks straight. My team has heard me. My friends have heard me. Anybody who has been within earshot of me while I was cooking dinner has heard me. Because when I tell you that this is the moment where the mask has fully slipped, I mean it. The louder they scream that Nicki Minaj is over, the higher her mentions climb. The harder they push the cancellation narrative, the more the barbs descend on the timeline. Every campaign against her has produced the opposite of the intended effect, and at some point somebody in that newsroom is going to have to sit down and ask themselves whether the hate cycle is even profitable anymore, because the numbers are showing that it is not. This is what the industry does not want you to know. Nicki Minaj is not just surviving the smear campaign. Nicki Minaj is monetizing it. The Obsession Club will keep her name in their mouth for free until they die, and she will keep collecting from the ones desperate enough to pay for the privilege. The record stands. And the record has been standing for a long time now, no matter how loud the paid coverage gets. Now let me shift onto something that has been bubbling in the female rap corner of the internet for about 72 hours, and it involves a rising rapper by the name of Bannon and a certain other rising rapper who has been begging, and I do mean begging, for a rap-girl feud since roughly last spring. That rapper is Trim. And Trim just got clean off her wig line, live on record, by a woman she should have left alone. And if you have been sleeping on this corner of the timeline, this is the beef that is about to eat the next month of rap news, so lock in. Here is what happened. Bannon was asked by a fan on TikTok why she was not invited to a certain BET showcase, why her name did not appear on a certain XXL cover, why she seemed to be excluded from the biggest female rap moments of the year. Bannon answered honestly. Bannon said, and I am condensing here, that she suspects she is being quietly frozen out. She used the word cancelled. She used the word blackballed. And she moved on with her life. Trim, sensing an opening because the ones she has been swinging at have all refused to swing back, decided to take Bannon's answer completely out of context and use it as the excuse to open a new front. Trim recorded a diss aimed at Bannon. Trim posted it. Trim tagged it. Trim expected Bannon to do what most rising rappers do, which is take the shot and stay quiet. Trim expected the same silence she got from Ice Spice. Trim expected the same silence she got from Megan Thee Stallion. Trim expected the same silence Nicki Minaj has never even had to give her, because Nicki Minaj does not know she exists. Bannon did not stay quiet. Bannon opened her own TikTok, teased a snippet of a full record, and inside that snippet she dragged Trim clean off her wig line. She called her a name I am not going to repeat because YouTube would have a whole seizure about it, but if you have heard the snippet you know exactly the word I mean. And the audio was not a scrap. That was a full record ready to drop. Bannon is loaded up. Bannon has more where that came from. And the entire timeline turned around and said, in one voice, girl, Bannon did not do anything to you, why would you poke the one who was actually going to answer? Trim picked the wrong week, the wrong month, and the wrong opponent, and Trim is about to find out exactly what happens when a rising rapper actually has bars in the chamber. Because here is what Trim did not understand, and here is what Trim is about to understand very publicly. Ice Spice has ignored her for a year. Nicki Minaj does not know her name. Megan Thee Stallion did not so much as glance in her direction when the shot was fired. Trim has been running through the entire roster of the current female rap moment trying to bait somebody, anybody, into a war she can piggyback on. Because Trim knows, and this is the ugly part, this is the part her label does not want anyone saying out loud, that the talent is not carrying her anymore. That the viral moment she got last year did not produce a sticky follow-up. That the second single did not chart. That the third single did not exist. And the only way to force her name back into the top of the timeline is to attach it to somebody bigger. That is the entire play. That is the whole playbook. That is the reason every female rapper in the top 10 has quietly declined to feed her the attention she is starving for. Well, congratulations, Trim. You finally found the one who is going to swing back. And now the question is whether Bannon is ready for what comes after the first punch, because Trim has writers on retainer and Trim is going to milk the moment for every last drop. If Bannon drops that record, Bannon needs 3 more waiting in the chamber. That is how rap beefs work in 2026. You do not get one shot and get to walk away. You either commit to the campaign or you take the L. And if I know Bannon like I think I know Bannon, she is going to commit. But I am telling you now, on the record, this beef is about to eat up the female rap news cycle for the next month, and I want you to remember where you heard about it first. Every rap outlet is going to be covering this by next Tuesday. Every playlist is going to be forced to pick a side. Every cosign is going to matter. And every silent artist in the top 10 is going to be watching to decide which door they walk through when the phone finally rings. Now shifting into what you scrolled here for. The main event. The headline nobody in the Barty gang wants to see. The moment the coping committee has been dreading since Monday. Cardi B has been outstreamed on Spotify by an old Bia record, and I do mean old. I mean an entire calendar year old. And the number is not close. And the number is not up for debate. And the number is not about to shift. Sit down. Buckle in. Because this is the part where the receipts do not lie and the excuses run out. Let me put the receipts on the table. Bia's track, a song that came out over a year ago, a song that was never re-released, a song that was never promoted with a fresh visual, is currently pulling 622,800 daily streams on Spotify. Cardi B's newest single, the one with the 9 variant covers, the one with the coordinated payola push, the one with the label money behind it, the one with the top of the charts campaign, Cardi B's brand new drop is pulling 581,000 daily streams on Spotify. Cardi B is losing by more than 40,000 streams a day. To a song from last year. From a woman she personally attacked. That is not a flop. That is a public shaming procession set to a Spotify counter. That is belly up on the charts in real time. And every industry insider who has been quietly tracking the numbers all week knows exactly what those graphs look like, and none of them are willing to say it out loud because the label money still moves the room. And this is what happens when you spend the entire summer running your mouth. Cardi B spent the summer on tour calling Bia a flop. Cardi B spent the summer saying Bia would never happen. Cardi B spent the summer coordinating public dismissals, ghostwriter jabs, and label-friendly framings of the situation. Cardi B built a whole trend cycle out of pretending Bia was beneath her attention. Every night of that tour was a fresh dig. Every interview was a fresh dig. Every social clip was a fresh dig. Now the receipts have arrived, and the receipts do not care who Cardi B thinks she is. The receipts do not care about the label. The receipts do not care about the tour. The receipts do not care about the interviews. The receipts only care about the numbers, and the numbers say Bia is winning. Here is where it gets embarrassing. Cardi B was the one who set the terms. Cardi B was the one who said she was the reigning female rapper. Cardi B was the one who said she had the real fans. Cardi B was the one who claimed the streams would speak for themselves. Well, guess what, Cardi? The streams are speaking. And the streams are saying that a woman with one old record is currently outperforming your entire brand new rollout. The discount bin duplicate is losing to the woman she called disposable. The record stands. And every fan who spent the last 3 months typing paragraphs defending the indefensible has to wake up tomorrow and log back onto a timeline where the numbers say the exact opposite of what they've been screaming. I want to be crystal clear about what this means for Cardi B's career, because the delusion in her fanbase is currently on level 10. Cardi B is not going to hit the top 50 of the Billboard Hot 100 with this single. That is why the label released 9 different cover variants. That is not artistry. That is chart manipulation. That is the strategy you deploy when the organic pull is not there. That is the same playbook her camp ran on the last single, and it did not work then, and it is not going to work now. You cannot force a moment. You cannot buy virality. You cannot pay the algorithm to lie about the streams. Cardi B is watching her second act evaporate in real time, and the paid blogs are quietly writing their pivot pieces as we speak. Read the Billboard write-ups from 6 months ago and compare them to the write-ups from this month. The tone has already shifted. The word flagship has quietly disappeared. The word comeback has quietly appeared in its place, and comeback is what you call an artist you are not sure will chart again. And I want to say something about the racial framing that has been drifting through this rollout, because it is ugly and it needs to be named. Cardi B has been alternately marketed as Dominican, Colombian, and now vaguely Mexican depending on which market the label is trying to squeeze this week. Nobody in the actual Latin community is running to buy this record because the connection was never authentic to begin with. It was branding. It was positioning. It was a corporate attempt to lock in a demographic that has now decided, correctly, that they are not obligated to prop up an artist who only remembers her heritage when the streams are down. The community has watched, the community has clocked it, and the community has quietly opted out. And the streaming numbers reflect that opt-out in a way no press release can spin. And now the Colombian rollout is flopping, the Mexican rollout is flopping, the American rollout is flopping, and the Dominican rollout was flopping before the single even dropped. That is 4 markets in a row. That is not a bad rollout. That is a career-ending stretch. And if you do not believe me, look at what her own fans are saying in the replies. The Barty gang is starting to fracture in public. There are comments, and I have screenshots if the Barty gang wants to argue, from fans openly saying they are exhausted. They are tired of defending flop after flop. They are tired of the label running the same playbook. They are tired of watching Cardi B chase Nicki Minaj on the timeline instead of chasing a top 10 single. They are tired of a rollout that never ends because a single that never charts requires an endless repackage cycle. And that is the quiet part loud. Cardi B's fans are tired. The fans are logging off. The fans are switching sides. And the sides they are switching to include the very women Cardi B spent the summer trying to bury. Bia has picked up new listeners. Nicki Minaj has picked up new listeners. Megan Thee Stallion has picked up new listeners. Even Ice Spice, who took a step back to reset her sound, is picking up new listeners. Because the market abhors a vacuum, and Cardi B has left a vacuum the size of the Bronx. And every listener migrating out of the Bardi ecosystem this week is a listener who does not come back on the next rollout, because streaming habits harden fast and the algorithm does not forgive drift. Now here is what I want the Bardi gang to understand before you scroll to the comments section to type paragraphs at me. This is not personal. This is math. Streams are math. Chart positions are math. Twitter mentions are math. And every single one of those numbers is currently pointing in one direction, and that direction is not Cardi B's. The record stands. And there is nothing anybody in a purple avatar comments section can type that is going to flip a Spotify counter. You can log on at midnight, you can boost a playlist, you can beg your friends to press play. The counter does not care. The counter is a machine. And the machine, this week, is telling on your favorite. Let me tie all four of these storylines together, because if you have been watching this channel long enough you already see the pattern. Ariana Grande is being crushed under a noise cycle she did not consent to. Nicki Minaj is being crushed under a smear cycle she is actively monetizing. Bannon is being poked by a rapper too small to be poking her. Cardi B is being humiliated by a woman she personally underestimated. And in every single one of these stories, the villains are the same. It is the paid blogs. It is the coordinated headlines. It is the manufactured discourse. It is the media machine that has spent the last decade choosing which women get to eat and which women get to be devoured. And in 2026, that machine is finally starting to fail. Because the audience is smarter now. The audience checks the receipts now. The audience runs the streams now. And no amount of paid coverage can override what the audience decides. That is the takeaway. That is the whole record. That is the story you needed to hear tonight, and that is the story none of the mainstream outlets are going to give you with this level of honesty. Ariana Grande is going to be fine because Ariana Grande has been through worse. Nicki Minaj is going to eat because Nicki Minaj always eats. Bannon is going to answer because Bannon has been quietly building for this moment. And Cardi B is going to be forced to reckon with a career that has been coasting on manufactured moments for 2 full album cycles. Every one of these stories is heading into its next act, and if you want to catch every twist as it happens, you already know where to be. You already know whose channel to have open when the next update drops. You already know which corner of the internet actually calls the numbers before the numbers become the headlines. I need every single one of you to do me a favor before you scroll away tonight. Drop your read of it below the video. Tell me who you think is going to eat the hardest going into next month. Tell me whether Ariana Grande should have folded the tour or kept pushing. Tell me whether Nicki Minaj is playing chess with weighted pieces or whether the blogs finally have a real angle. Tell me whether Bannon is going to survive the beef with Trim or whether Trim is going to milk it into her own moment. And tell me, and this is the one I care about most, tell me whether you think Cardi B's career can be resuscitated or whether we are watching the last act of a chapter that never should have been extended in the first place. Every read helps. Every comment fuels the algorithm. Every share is a vote for honest coverage over the paid variety. The ones who show up every drop already know what to do. And if you are new here, if this is the first video you have landed on tonight because the algorithm finally did its job, welcome. You picked the right night. This channel does not sugarcoat. This channel does not run bot coverage. This channel does not pretend that Cardi B's rollout is going well when the streams say otherwise. This channel does not pretend Nicki Minaj is falling off when the mentions say otherwise. This channel does not pretend Ariana Grande is fine when the tour footage says otherwise. This channel tells you what the industry does not want said out loud, and it does it with the receipts in hand. Subscribe, hit the bell, and buckle in, because the next 30 days of female rap and pop are going to be the loudest 30 days this genre has seen in 5 years, and you are going to want front row access when the next act begins. Before we sign off, because I know you are already itching for the next drop, I want to remind you about the secondary channel where the deeper dives live. That is where the long-form female rap breakdowns are dropping this month. That is where the ghostwriter investigation is going to hit. That is where the Cardi B chart manipulation deep dive is going to land. That is where the Nicki Minaj mention count breakdown is going to be posted in full. Subscribe to the secondary channel because half of the biggest stories on this platform are getting the extended treatment over there, and you do not want to be the last one to hear it. The link is in the description, the notification bell is one click away, and the roadmap is already scheduled through the next quarter. And on the topic of what is coming next, because I know somebody in the comments is already typing, what about, yes, we are covering the Megan Thee Stallion situation next week. Yes, we are covering the JT vs Kershaw reshuffle. Yes, we are covering the Rihanna comeback timeline that everybody keeps trying to force. Yes, we are covering the Doja Cat rollout that the label is currently trying to salvage. And yes, we are absolutely, 100%, covering whatever Nicki Minaj drops next, because it is going to be the biggest story of the month and everybody in this comments section knows it. We are also going to be revisiting the Latto conversation, the SZA response cycle, the Tate McRae industry positioning, and the strange silence coming out of the sexy red camp that nobody seems willing to unpack. But for tonight, this is where I leave you. The Ariana Grande tour will keep going. The Nicki Minaj mention count will keep climbing. The TMZ humiliation loop will keep repeating until Nicki finally files. The Bannon and Trim record will drop, and I will be here breaking it down within an hour. The Cardi B single will keep sinking. The receipts will keep piling up. And this channel will keep telling you exactly what is happening while everybody else is still trying to figure out which side of history to land on. There is no substitute for coverage that gets to the story before the story goes mainstream, and that is what this channel has been built to do since the day it launched. Drop the like. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe if you have not. Share this with the one friend who still refuses to admit Nicki Minaj is winning. Comment your read. And I will see you tomorrow, on the next drop, with the next round of receipts. Because in this house we do not chase clout. We chase the record. And the record, no matter how loud the coping committee gets, always stands. Ariana Grande, keep your head. Nicki Minaj, keep collecting. Bannon, keep loading. Cardi B, keep watching the counter. And to the ones watching all of this from the sidelines, do not blink, because the next chapter is already being written while you sleep. Sleep well. Stay honest. And do not let anyone tell you what your eyes just saw. Peace. One last note before the outro fades, because I know somebody in the comments is going to ask, so let me get ahead of it. If you are wondering why this channel keeps landing on the correct side of every one of these stories weeks before the mainstream catches up, it is not luck. It is not a source in the label. It is not a friend at a management firm. It is the receipts. It is the mention counts. It is the Spotify graphs. It is the TikTok trend velocity. It is watching what the audience actually does instead of what the paid press claims the audience is doing. That is the entire methodology. That is the whole edge. And if you want to keep landing on the right side of the next story before it becomes the headline, this channel is the one you keep pinned to the top of your subscription feed. Nicki Minaj is not slowing down. Ariana Grande is not backing off. Bannon is not blinking. Cardi B is not admitting anything. And the media machine is not going to correct itself. But the audience will. The audience already is. And that audience, the one reading receipts instead of press releases, is exactly who this channel was built for. See you at the next drop.